In Tudor England, escaping from the Tower of London was nearly impossible. And if you were a woman, it was unheard of. But Alice Tankerville wasn't the sort to let rules, chains, or even the River Thames get in her way. My friend, settle in, grab some water or a warm beverage, and get cozy because today we are going to talk about Alice Tankerville and her great tower escape. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the YouTube channel for the Renaissance English History Podcast. I am your host, Heather. I've been podcasting on Tudor England since 2009 with my show, which makes it the original Tudor History Podcast. I am, as always, delighted, thrilled, tickled pink that you have joined me today to talk about an infamous tower escape. Let's dig in. Alice Tankerville's story begins in the autumn of 1531. When a ship arrived in London carrying a massive payment, 366 gold crowns, from the Hanseatic League to Henry VIII. At the time, Henry was desperate for allies. Europe's Catholic powers were turning against him as he pursued his divorce from Catherine of Aragon. The Protestant Hanseatic towns, eager to curry favor, sent him a very generous loan. But when the ship was unloaded, the iron-bound chest that should have held the money was empty. That vanished gold, worth over £1 million in today's money, set off a 2-year investigation. The main suspect was a sailor named John Wolfe, a man who had a reputation for theft, piracy, and general mayhem and troublemaking. There wasn't a lot of hard evidence, but the suspicion alone was enough to land him in the Tower of London on charges of theft and treason. Wolfe's common-law wife, Alice Tankerville, soon became a familiar face around the tower. Prisoners then were expected to pay for their own food and clothing, so Alice came often with supplies and charm. She quickly befriended the guards, especially one called William Dennis and another called John Baud. Alice had a reputation for being lively, flirtatious, and very persuasive, traits that would soon prove both useful and fatal. After 6 months, the case against Wolfe fell apart and he was released. Now, he pulled a really bad move. He fled to Ireland and he left Alice behind. But no sooner had he left than new evidence surfaced linking him and Alice to the missing gold. The Hanseatic League was furious, and they pushed for swift justice. Parliament tried and convicted the couple in absentia, John in Ireland, Alice still in London, for the theft of the money. Alice didn't even know that she had been found guilty until a warrant for her arrest appeared. That's some messed up stuff. By the time Wolfe returned from Ireland, the couple were planning their next big heist. Alice had befriended 2 foreign merchants who were wealthy and quite careless with their keys. Together, she and Wolfe lured the men onto a boat on the Thames, murdered them, and used the stolen keys to rob their rooms. Because the crime happened on the river, they were tried as pirates by the Admiralty Court, which meant a particularly grisly sentence. They would be hanged in chains at low tide and left to drown as the water rose. Yikes. Awaiting execution, Alice was imprisoned in Cold Harbour Tower, one of the inner towers in the Tower of London, and she was also chained to the wall. Even by Tudor standards, this was pretty harsh. Women were rarely, if ever, chained. Yet even here, Alice managed to charm her guards. They brought her gifts and letters and bits of news. Eventually, one of her old admirers, John Baud, was assigned to her detail. Now, Baud had already been dismissed once for fraternizing with the prisoner. But somehow, and I don't know how, I would love to know how, he was back. And he was hopelessly in love, and together they plotted a desperate escape. Baud smuggled in a set of men's clothing for Alice, along with a rope and a key to one of the outer doors. The lock on her cell was quite primitive, secured only with a wooden peg, so she used a bit of metal to push it loose from underneath. On the night of the escape, she wriggled out of her cell, She dressed in men's clothes and she met Baud above Trader's Gate, where a small boat waited. Together, they actually crossed the Tower Moat. They slipped out near St. Catherine's Dock and they climbed the hill toward the city. Horses were waiting at the home of a friend named Geoffrey Harrison, and freedom was just minutes away. But Tudor timing was not on Alice's side this time. A watch patrol came by earlier than expected. One of the men, a friend of Baud's named Gore, greeted him cheerfully and immediately grew suspicious when Baud tried to hurry past. Another guard recognized the man who was with him as Alice. The pair were caught just short of escape and dragged back to the tower. This time, there would be zero leniency. Baud was tortured on the rack and imprisoned in the infamous Little Ease, a cell so small that a prisoner could neither stand upright nor lie flat. Even under torture, he insisted that no one else had helped them, and he had done everything only for the love and affection that he bore to Alice. He was eventually hanged. As for Alice, she was returned back to her chains. Her brief taste of freedom had sealed her fate. She and John Wolfe were executed together on the Thames. The chronicler Edward Hall recorded the scene grimly. At last, she and her husband, as they deserved, were apprehended, arraigned, and hanged at the usual place for pirates. Their bodies were left hanging until, Hall adds darkly, beastly and filthy wretches most shamefully abused her while being dead. It was a horrifying end, but Alice Tankerville's story did not fade into obscurity. In the centuries that followed, her daring escape became part of Tudor folklore, retold as a cautionary tale of charm, danger, and the perils of misplaced affection. She remains the only woman on record to have escaped from the Tower of London, even if only for a few hours. So we will leave it there, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you know what I'm about to say. I sure would appreciate a press of that like button. You know what it does. It feeds that algorithm and gets our content to more people. And I hope I earned your subscription to my channel where I put out content like this on the regular if I don't already have it. If you would like to continue watching videos on escapes, check out this recent one on prison escapes, or here's one that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Remember, my friend, you are deeply loved. I am so glad that I share the planet with you. You make the world a better place. And in this season of gratitude, I am just so extremely grateful that we got to spend this time together talking about Tudor history. I will be back very soon. In the meantime, don't forget to drink your water. Bye-bye, friend.